Emily, hold a second, until I record it. You have it? Okay, go for it. Sorry.
Go on. And don't draw a pistol because you'll be fucking shot.
Look at Emily when you're saying it.
Go ahead.
A bunch of the boys were whooping it up in the Malamute saloon. The kid that handled the music box was hitting a ragtime tune. While back at the bar in a solo game sat Dangerous Dan Mcgrew. While watching his look was his light of love, the lady that's known as Lou. When out of the night, which was 50 below, and into the din and the glare, there stumbled a miner, fresh from the creeks, dug dirty and loaded for beer. He looked like a man with one foot in the grave, and scarcely the strength of a louse. Yet he tilted a poke of dust on the bar, and he called for drinks for the house. No one could trace that stranger's face, though we searched ourselves for a clue. But we drank his health, and the last one to drink was Dangerous Dan Mcgrew. There are men that somehow grip your eyes and hold them hard like a spell. And such was he, and he seemed to me like a man who had lived in hell, with a face most hair and a dreary stare of a dog whose day is done, as he watered the green stuff in his glass, and the drops fell one by one. Then we got to figuring who he was, and wondering what he'd do. I turned my head, and there watching him was the lady that's known as Lou. His eyes went rubbering round the room. He seemed in a kind of spell, till at last the old piano fell in the way of his wandering gaze. The ragtime kid was having a drink. There was no one else on the stool. That stranger stumbles across the room and flops down there like a fool. In a buckskin shirt that was glazed with dirt, he sat, and I saw him sway. Then he touched the keys in his taloned hands. My God, but that man could play. Were you ever out in the great alone, when the moon was awful clear, and the icy mountains hemmed you in a silence you most could hear, with only the howl of a timber wolf, and you camped out there in the cold, a half-dead thing in a stark dead world, clean mad for that muck called gold. On that, while high overhead, green, yellow and red, the north light swept in bars, then you've got a hunch what music meant. Hunger and night and the stars. Hunger, not of the belly kind, that's banished with bacon and beans, but the gnawing hunger of lonely men for a home and all that it means. For a fireside far from the cares that are, 4 walls and a roof above, and also cramped full of cosy joy, and blessed by a woman's love. A woman that's dearer than all the world, and true as heaven is true. My God, how ghastly she looks through her rouge. The lady that's known as Lou. Then all of a sudden, the music changed, so soft that you most could hear. And you felt that your life had been looted clean of all that it once held dear. That someone had stolen the woman you loved. That her love was the devil's lie. That your guts were gone, and the best thing for you was to crawl away and die. It was the crowning cry of a heart's despair, and it chilled you true and true. I guess I'll make this a spread, Miss Eyre, said the Dangerous Dan Mcgrew. Then the music almost died away. Then it burst like a pent-up flood, and it seemed to say, repay, repay. Then my eyes were blind with blood. The thoughts came back of an ancient wrong, and it stung like a frozen lash. Then the lust arose, to kill, to kill. Then the music ceased with a crash. That stranger turned, and his eyes they burned in a most peculiar way. In a buckskin shirt that was glazed with dirt, he sat, and I saw him sway. Then his lips went in a kind of grin. He spoke, and his voice was calm. Boy, said he, you don't know me, and none of you care a damn. But I want to state, and my words are straight. I bet my poke they're true. One of you is a hound of hell, and that one
Is
is
Dan
Dan
Mcgrew.
Mcgrew. I ducked my head as the lights went out, and 2 guns blazed in the dark. A woman screamed. When the lights came up, 2 men lay stiff and stark. Pitched on his head and pumped full of lead was the dangerous Dan Mcgrew, while the man from the creeks lay clutched to the breast of the lady
known as
known as
Lou.
Lou.
Brilliant.
These are the simple facts of the case, and I guess I ought to know. They said that stranger was crazed with hooch, and I'm not denying it so. Don't think I'm as wise as these lawyer guys, but strictly between us few, the woman that kissed him,
Pinch his
pinched his
Was the
toe,
lady known
was the lady
as Lou.
As
known as Lou.
Brilliant.
No,
Very
no,
good.
no.
Very marvellous.
Well
done that.
Our friend in the corner is smiling.
Good, good.